Good morning, good evening, beautiful people. Welcome back to Power to the People Radio, the People's Podcast, your nonstop shop on information on personal development, financial literacy, and in everything and anything you can think of on being the best version of yourself. It's your host on the mic today, Hugh Huncho himself, and I'm with the one and only.
It's your co-host Trey, Talks with Trey. Peace, power, and love to all those who's listening out there. Hope you guys tune into this one. And like I always say, if you guys didn't check out the last one, y'all definitely want to go check that out. It's our free game series where we was dropping free games. So if you guys want to go ahead and get your credit right, if you want to get your mindset right, and if you want to become more business savvy and business oriented, definitely go check that episode out. We was talking about some of those things as I just stated. But today we're talking about the elephant in the room, and we'll go ahead and address that, and we'll get into that. But the elephant in the room
Elephant
happens
in the
to be
room.
social media. Social media,
The
man.
biggest elephant in the room.
There's a lot. There's a lot of talks about it, as far as if it's beneficial or if it's detrimental. But we'll go ahead and get into that in this episode today. Now, my boy Hugh did tell me about the Social Dilemma. That is a documentary / movie that's on Netflix. And before watching that, I had a great understanding of both sides of social media, how it can be beneficial and how it can be detrimental. But bro, I'm not gonna lie. After watching that documentary, I had a huge takeaway. I had a whole nother perspective as far as going into depth about the psychological effects of social media and how it affects humans. Now, let me ask you, bro. I believe it came out a few years ago, right? I wasn't privy to it until you told me. What made you actually watch it when it first came out? Because I believe you watched it when it was relatively new, when it was fresh. So what made you tune into it so early on, bro?
So it actually came out 2020. When I looked at the date, it actually came out September 2020. Surprisingly, right? A lot of things was going on during that year. So I didn't watch it exactly when it came out. I watched it in 2021. So a couple of months after it was already out. I think maybe around January or March time of 2021. And what made me what made me actually watch it was at the time I was watching some Netflix, the Explain series, right? Netflix has this Explain series where they go into various different topics, right? Explain how money works, explain how mind works, explain how our planet works, right? All these other things. And then one of the documentaries was The Social Dilemma, and on the cover was a picture of the heart sign, right? The little like button that you would get on Instagram, caught in a trap. And that would typically be a trap that you would use for a bear. So when I seen that, I was like, okay, what does this mean, right? There's literally meaning in pictures, right? So that means that somebody's like or whatever somebody's interested in is being caught into a trap. So I started watching it, and I was not expected. I wasn't expected to see what I heard or what I learned in that documentary. Basically, they go in and really dissect the full purpose of social media, and its origins, right? And its origins. And for people who might not know, social media in general has been around for a while, right? Before we had, you can call, MySpace, right? It was the very first ever social interactive platform. And we also had Facebook at the time. However, very shortly afterwards, Facebook started implementing some tactics and methods very similar from Google, right? Very similar from Google. Social media at a time, you can say, started off with well and good intentions. Well and good intentions in the sense that just like how via email you can contact and communicate with people all across the world, right? You can contact and communicate with people via business, right? Email was the revolution to regular traditional snail mail, right? That we would get in, in our mailbox, and this created massive amounts of communication, right? Quicker communication, because now you can email somebody across the world, right? Text message also was a path of quicker communication as well, right? Beyond just the regular telephone. However, social media seen what Google was doing with email, and they created a platform where college students were able to interact with one another, right? That's what Facebook started off as. It started off as a social system for college students to connect with one another, right? To be able to have whether study groups, and then they created their own profile. And very soon, right, with all great things, right, there might be somebody who has an ill intention to use it. Very soon, people started using Facebook for other things, right, like party invites, right, link ups, and messaging people privately, and hookups and things like that, right? But originally, it started off really good because Facebook allowed more people to reconnect with their family members, their offsprings, and things of that nature. But then, as I'm watching the documentary, Trey, it started getting very, very dark, very, very early, and I started really seeing how we got to where we got to. Right, so it really was just the name and the picture that got me interested in it. But after learning everything that happened at Facebook and at Google, and kind of how it became to what it is now, right, which is known as Meta, it's honestly very, I don't even want to say scary. It's very interesting how the technology we use now and how it was being used back then. So Trey, let me ask you, since you watched that documentary recently, before we get into any bullet points that I had, was there anything that specifically stood out to you in the documentary itself?
Yeah, the fact that they had some of the people who were working with these big companies like Google and Facebook, some of the technicians and some of the software developers who actually gave a voice and got to speak on behalf of certain things that went into play in terms of the early development, the goal and the aim for the apps, right? Them having their voiced opinion about the whole entire psychological effect on it was very interesting to me because some of them gave testimonies that they were affected as well. I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
crazy. That's like that's like the owner of Chick-fil-A being hooked on his own product, if that makes sense. Like we all know some of these fast food restaurants aren't the best for us, right? So the fact that some of these software developers
Mm-hmm.
also were addicted to some of these apps, like that just goes to show how powerful social media really is if you're not cognizant enough and have that balance. You understand what I'm saying? So that stood out to me the most. Like, wow, even some of these developers who understood the background of everything, who understood the process of building the thing, even they were addicted to it to a certain extent. And your everyday person who has no idea of how much it impacts your psyche, they have a bit more leeway in terms of them being oblivious to what's really going on as far as their dopamine receptors being swayed by the wrong thing, like bad dopamine when you're
Mm-hmm.
scrolling. That's equivalent to that, right? But them having the knowledge of that and then still doing it means that that drug is more addictive than we think. So yeah, that's something that stood out to me more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah. It's
and, it's,
like
and like you said,
knowing that you have poison in your hand. You know how the poison was created, but yet the poison is still affecting you.
right? Exactly.
Like a drug dealer getting high on his own supply. Literally, it's the
Right.
same equivalent.
Right. And like I say, for them to give their stories and let us know, like, yeah, like they were very transparent, which I appreciate because I mean, we all could admit everyone has those days where we scroll and we're lackadaisical and we spend hours on Instagram, Facebook, so TikTok, whatever platform it is, right? But for them to be
Mm-hmm.
honest, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
wow, like, it's just crazy. Yo, this is the new crack. I like this is the like social media could really be comparison to the
Basically,
crack. I hope I don't. I might have to bloop that out, but um,
no,
that
it
that like
really is. It really is, especially if it's something that people can't consciously put down and stop for a moment of time. Like if you feel as though that you can't go a couple of hours without checking Instagram, Facebook, or any social media platform in general, and you consciously told yourself you want to stop and you can't stop, that is the definition of an addiction. And just
exactly
like how crack cocaine, right, and things like that ruins people's life. Any addiction can ruin your life because now you're no longer in control of your own action. You're just going with the emotions. You're just going with this with the primal instinct of whatever that habit or whatever that action is.
Right.
And Trey, it's actually interesting because in the documentary, bro, they actually talked about how the people working at Google, some of them were addicted to email, but then they would go home and they would see their kids, scrolling on their phone, right, and being hooked on things like that. And
Mm-hmm.
then, and that's just email, right? This was before even social media became popular. These same engineers and inventors, right, who would go home and literally see, right, the results of their creation in front of them affecting their kids. They took a technology persuasion class, I believe at Stanford University, where they literally learn how to make technology even more persuasive. So I want you guys
Mm-hmm.
to really understand and hear that the creators of these apps and these platforms that we use, they took a class to teach them how to create technology that is persuasive to you. What is persuasion? Is being able to influence somebody to making a decision, right, that you are in favor of.
Mm-hmm.
That's borderline manipulation right there, right? What's
Right.
the difference between
Right.
persuading somebody and manipulating them? Right, it's a very thin line. See what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
They might as well just say that it was a class on manipulation, technology manipulation.
Yeah. Exactly. Especially talking about the psychological aspect of it, because I'm gonna let you get to your points, but I do want to add this: like these social media developers, they have certain direction on grasping the masses psyche, right? They want to
Mm-hmm.
psychologically have us in a grip where we don't even see it. And we all see
Mm-hmm.
that on our social media feed. We talk about Dunkin' Donuts, how we had 2 donuts this morning and a cup of coffee, and the next thing you know, it's on our social media feed. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because they literally collect data from us. They see how long we are looking at these posts. They see exactly what we're looking at, right? They see exactly the
Mm-hmm.
conversations and listening
And
to the
yes, that's true.
conversations.
They see exactly how long. No, Trey, I was just to add to your point. I really want to double down on that. Exactly. They see not only what you're watching, like they see exactly what
Mhm.
you see, and they see exactly how long you're viewing it as well. And determining on how long you stay on that one specific photo, video, or subject will help tailor the timeline to you. And now what this does is that this can this is in a way, right, learning exactly who the person is by their interests, right? Being able to hack
Right.
into their camera and literally watch your retina movement to see if it's something
Hmm.
that's catching your attention or not. That is very interesting.
That's
That's
extremely
not
interesting,
horrifying.
and I don't know if it's AI who does it or if there's 24-hour government agency monitor like people monitoring us. Like I'm not sure how they do it, um, but like you say, it's beyond scary. I don't know another word that's terrifying. I'm flabbergasted at the fact that they even are able to do this. I mean, where's the censorship at? Where's
Hmm.
our rights to our privacy? You understand what I'm saying? But I'm not gonna lie. When we
Exactly.
first download the app, we don't read the fine print. I'm pretty sure somewhere in there
We,
it's
we
giving up
signed
our
away our
rights.
rights,
Yeah, but look, I do
literally.
want to draw out another point from the point that we're on because it becomes a domino effect when our censorship or our privacy has been taken away because now they have come into our minds, right? Now they see exactly what our interests are. They see us when no one else sees
Hmm.
us. When the door's closed and when we're by ourselves, they still see exactly what's going on.
You're still being
So let's
watched.
think about that. Let's think about that for a second. How dangerous could that be if they understand exactly how your mind is working? They understand exactly the interests that you have. They understand exactly what you're going to say before you say it. They know what you're going to order the day you order it. They know you love shopping on Shopify. They know you love Fashion Nova. This it's not just marketing purposes. This is scary where they can make you spend money that you didn't plan on spending. But I think it's scary because
Yes.
they could keep you on the app potentially, depending on how willful you are, depending on how conscious you are, for longer than what you prefer. And not only that, this is the point I was getting to. Imagine a person who's going down a rabbit hole who thinks a certain radical way. And I'm not talking radical as far as someone who goes against the norm, because I kind of resonate with that. I'm talking radical as far as someone who's ignorant and they don't understand they're ignorant and they believe they're ignorant so much. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because on social media, they're getting fed the same exact beliefs that they're talking about with their friends. Now, this becomes dangerous
Mm-hmm.
because their ideology is now a fact to them. Why? Because it's constantly being validated by their social feed, which is dangerous. A person could think the sky is red. Like, or we're just saying something that's random for an analogy. A person could think the sky is red because somebody on his social media feed said it, someone who has influence said it, and then he sees it all day. You understand what I'm saying? So this social media feed that the app developers are feeding us could be dangerous, and the reason why is because they're feeding what you're interested in, and you may take that as a fact, but no, whole time it could just be some people who have the same beliefs as you, but they're not factual at all, and this becomes dangerous because now you're thinking a certain way and you're taking
And you
emotion and you're Xing out logic. So yeah, let me hear your
and
thoughts
you
on that. You
and you're reinforcing false information in a false belief system. You're reinforcing things that might not necessarily be true just because you're seeing it over and over again, right? We have a few numbers, but in the past couple of years, a lot of the political figures across multiple countries, right? A lot of first world countries as well that have social media now, they went from having candidates that were more central based, like maybe they were kind of lean a little bit conservative, a little bit liberal, but they were somewhere in the middle. In the past recent years since social media, the candidates that have now got into office from a lot of countries are now far right or far left candidates. They're now not in the middle anymore. Even us as Americans, right? Statistically, back in the 60s and 70s, somebody could have been Democrat and they still vote Republican. Somebody could have been Republican, still voted Democrat for their president, right? Or whoever their senator was, because us as people, we weren't so polarized in our political leaning because of social media and the reinforcement of what you think and what this party is saying is correct. It doesn't even matter which side you are. Now you lean so far right that you can't even have a conversation with somebody on the left side because you've been reinforced that the right is right so much. In reality, that's not true. The world, surprisingly or not, the world isn't as black as white as we think to seem or for us to try and believe. There's a lot of different shades of gray. But what social media does is that it takes our belief system, it takes this algorithm, and it puts the things that it knows is going to keep us on these platforms long term, right? Something that's going to be in agreement with you to keep you on that platform. Imagine if you say, right? Imagine if you say, imagine if you're a person, right? That, and we're going to get real deep here, right? We're gonna get real deep here. Imagine you're a person who, let's say you feel you don't physically like your body that much, right? You feel as though maybe you're a little bit overweight. You feel as though maybe you can kind of cut back. You can go to the gym, get a little bit bigger, right? Or get more cut. Maybe you should lose some pounds. But you go on social media and you get reinforced body positivity. No, you should just like your weight for how you are. No, you're fine, right? It doesn't matter. As be happy with how you are. You get reinforced that. Very soon you're gonna start identifying and believing with that, knowing that that is not probably accurate, right? We all know, right? Obesity rates are higher than they were back in the day. We all know that people can die from heart disease, from gout, right? From high cholesterol, strokes, all these different things. But imagine all of the truth that now is being denied by a false sense of reality that's being reinforced over and over again. It could be with anything. That could literally be with anything. Imagine you keep saying that, imagine you say for whatever reason that I don't know, I'm gonna come up with one of the craziest analogies so maybe it can make sense for somebody who might not fully understand. Imagine you were a person who at one point, let's say you like clowns, right? Let's say you like clowns. You thought clowns were funny or whatever the case may be. But you talk about clowns, right? Right. Maybe one of your friends is afraid of clowns, whatever the case may be. Or the system, the algorithm, they want you to be afraid of clowns. You like clowns, but they want you to be afraid of clowns. So what's going to happen is that they're going to slowly, it's a gradual shift in your perspective. It doesn't happen overnight. They can't just put something in front of you for you to immediately change your opinion. It's a gradual shift. So what happens is that you start seeing advertisements of the It movie, right? The clown movie, right? Where he's a terrifying demon. Then you get reinforced with the Joker, right? Somebody who's from Batman, who's evil, who looks like a clown. You keep seeing these images, these things, and very soon your perspective and your beliefs start shifting. Now, in a couple of years, now you're definitely afraid of clowns or you hate clowns. And in reality, as a kid, you love clowns. When did that happen? It happened gradually through time, but consistent reinforcement. So Trey,
Right.
honestly, it is very alarming, because what this does is that this creates more narrow-minded people than people who are open to others' thoughts and opinions, and that honestly divides us more than anything. Now they can divide us not based off our skin color anymore, but now they could divide us just based off our thought process or our political or social or a religious leaning, whatever it is. Now they are literally hijacking your opinions and implanting opinions and thoughts that you might not necessarily yourself believe. That's
Right. And then let
terrifying,
me
bro.
add to that real quick. I know you want to get on with these points, and just to sum that up, it's the like what ultimately adds to that, and I hate that our First Amendment has been taken away, and it's slowly been being taken away. But now some things that have already been standardized, some things that already have been factual, and some things that already have been principles that many people have been standing on for years now. Now those things are getting questioned because of some of the opinions and
Exactly.
because of some of the people's feelings that are now coming out. And when in anyone's reality does feelings and opinions trump facts? Please let me know that. It is only in the
Mhm.
West. It is only in America. It is only in a society where, in my opinion, the agenda is to emasculate the man. Why? Because when you have a society when feelings rule the nation, then you're able to do anything you want to, because what do feelings do? They move like the ocean. They wave like water, like flowing water. So whatever someone is feeling, they can ultimately voice their opinion, create a group. I'm not going to give an example of a group, but I have one in mind, and create a movement behind that. And now if you disagree with anything that they say, even if it's factual, you can get canceled, right? We know a few different movements like
Mhm.
this. Um, just to tie it back in. But I think it's ridiculous that we no longer could be factual and have some logic behind some of these topics, some of these discussions that were used to being had. Like some comedians can't even be as vulgar as they used to be, and that's their whole entire job. I mean, they're a
Yeah.
comical type of person who's trying to create hysteria within the crowd. They have to tiptoe and walk on eggshells, right? And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because it adds to the whole social dilemma of social media. Number one, the addiction part, as far as how people are addicted, but also what I'm tying into as far as what we just talked about is how people's algorithm could be shaped based on their ideologies, right? And then if you're going to have those ideologies,
Or how the algorithm can be tailored to shifting their ideology and making them adopt or think
Mhm.
something new or different than before.
Right, exactly, and I feel like we should question certain things, man. Like I know there's a risk of getting canceled if you have a platform, if you say a certain something that strikes, discomfort within a certain community, depending on what you say. But I mean, I don't know. These things need to be questioned. That's all I'm saying. We
Yeah.
need to question things, because early on in social media, it wasn't like this. People had more freedom of speech, and I feel like there was a more of a balance. Like I feel like people were
Yeah.
living more in their actual real world and their actual reality, more than trying to keep up with this persona on social media just to get clicks and likes. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
100%, 100%. I was actually just talking to my friend about this as we were watching the documentary together, and I was letting him know, like, hey, you remember back in the day when Instagram first came out? When you would go on Instagram, it would be in chronological order of the people you followed. Only the
Hmm.
people that you followed and your friends, you would see them. I don't even know if the explore page was a thing yet at that time. And even if it was, I'm pretty sure you would only see things that were in your general area on the Explore page that's trending right now. And you would usually only see things in chronological order of your friends when they posted, whoever posted it first. So if John posted before James, you will see John post first before James as you scroll. Now, just go on Instagram. You're seeing posts from people that you don't even follow, posts that are not even
Hmm.
in chronological order anymore. It's whatever has the most likes, or is whatever's trending, or whatever is gripping the most people, or in this case, whatever they know is going to keep people on there the most. Before, social media
Right.
was a thing where, yeah, you might be able to see things that might be very provocative, right? Things that might be very explicit and promiscuous. Now, if you don't consciously put not interest, not interest, not interest, block, right, mute, if you don't do that, you go on the explore page, you're seeing nothing but workout videos, tights, girls shaking their, you see what I'm saying? Why is that? Why has social media become over hypersexualized for people who weren't
Hmm.
even sexual people to begin with? Is because there's a clear cut message, a clear cut thing that they want us to see more. They know they know what grips and what grabs the human attention. Colors like red, things that are gonna, either make you evoke some kind of emotion, either whether it's sadness, whether it's happiness, whether it's even anger. They might even show you stuff that's gonna make you angry. We remember what happened during Black Lives Matter. Our social media feed was filled with nothing but videos of crimes happening to black people. And what did that invoke in a lot of black people? Anger. What did black people do? Go out, protest, riot, and even some of them even got charges because they were, having issues with law enforcement because their emotions were so ramped up, right? That's
Right.
because of their feed. And another example from this, and another example of this is in the documentary. They actually had a study where a lot of high school children, right? There's even a new disease that was dubbed Snapchat dysphoria, because so many people are going to doctors requesting either plastic surgery or requesting some kind of modification to their face to make them look more like Snapchat filters.
That's crazy.
So
That's
you're
wild.
telling me because you are on your phone so much, you're seeing what this ideal image of what you're supposed to look like so much that now you no longer like and love you for how you are. You're going to a doctor to try and get plastic surgery, and these are teenagers, these are young kids, these are young adults, right? It would be even worse if
Mm.
it was a 40 or 50-year old, but still, right? It's affecting the youth. So you could just imagine where their mindset is going to be at when they're in their 40s and their 50s. So Trey, about that, right? That study on the girls, right? If you can give
Hmm.
some context to that. I don't know if you have any specific numbers in front of you or anything like that. If you could give the people some
Yeah.
context to that, because I think they should know about something like that.
Nah, definitely. Yeah, I want you guys, number one, check out The Social Dilemma on Netflix. It's a great documentary. This is where we're getting some of our stats from the people who did very into-depth research on this, and they have certain stats that you guys could see. But one of the statistics that I want to share with you guys is between, I believe it was 2001 and 2010, um, there was a certain ratio of number of non-fatal hospitalizations from young teenage girls from preteen to teenage years, and there was a drastic increase, an actual 62% increase between the years of 2011 and 2018 as far as girls getting admitted into non-fatal hospitalizations, meaning they were harming themselves because of the direct correlation with social media and them not being happy because of the comparison. Because they look good on the filters, they felt like,
Mm-hmm.
and when they took the filters off, they felt as though they weren't beautiful enough. And to go on with some
Mm-hmm.
more statistics, it's sad to say this, but in the same years, they did a comparison from 2001 to 2010, and then the comparison is the year 2011 to 2018. There was 189% increase in suicides from young girls from preteens to teenage years. And again, the direct correlation with social media. So we're not just bringing
And
this to you guys' attention just for it to be a talking point. This is actually more important than we actually realized. Did you guys hear that number? 189% increase. And let me highlight something. Social media got its boom around 2012, 2013. So imagine an updated number between 2019 and
mm-hmm.
2024, especially us going through an epidemic and us everyone being isolated. I mean, this is wild, man. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not even gonna lie. The numbers is crazy here. But what was you about to add,
Mm-hmm.
Hugh?
Yeah. Um. I definitely lost it. It's gonna come back some. It's gonna come back sometime. 'Cause I was just listening to what you were saying, but it's just interesting that that we're in this day and age where so many people have their sense of identity and validation from their online presence, right?
Mm-hmm.
From their online presence. And then when they go into real life, into the real world, they have to face what reality, and reality isn't what's online, right? You don't look like what you look like with the Snapchat. You don't look like what you look like with the filters on, with the angles on. So now imagine you go on social media, right? You put on filters, you put on Snapchat filters, you put on certain lighting and angles, and you find all this sense of validation, right, and attention. But then you go into real life, and you're not getting that same attention and validation. Now
Right.
there's this thing called cognitive dissonance. Now you're like, am I
Mm-hmm.
really pretty? Am I really not pretty? Why is it only strangers and people who are on the internet that think that I'm pretty, but people in real life don't even approach me? So it is honestly very scary, because now what happens is that people are believing that we are also in a day and age of misinformation or disinformation, fake news that influence and manipulates people to do things, right? Statistically, they said that fake news on Twitter trends 6 times faster and quicker than accurate news. So not only are people going
Mm-hmm.
on social media, right, and they're seeing Snapchats of them, or they see Snapchat filters of other girls. So now they're like, oh, I'm not as pretty as her. So now they're using the same filters, right? But when you wake up in the mirror, you see what you really look like, right? So you can't fake the funk. You can't put a filter in between your contact lenses, right? So now you have this cognitive dissonance happening. And then when you go on, right, now you have to uh, consider the risk of getting manipulated by false information that you don't know for sure is true or not, and it's being put into your face because they know that you'll identify with it, or you'll be more likely to be agreeable with it based off of your previous researches.
Mm-hmm. I think
That's honestly really terrifying, bro. When people
I
say
think
social media is
there's
making them depressed, I think this is the reason why for it.
100%. I think there's a lot to tie into why somebody might be in those shoes that you just stated, like they're not comfortable in their own skin because they compare so much, um, and or them believing in this information. It goes back to the episode that y'all need to tune into when we talked about the school system and how it started. And I'm just making that
Mm-hmm.
correlation real quick because like we stated in that episode, if you didn't tune into it, watch it. We talked about basically how the excuse me, how the school systems made it so critical thinking isn't so common, right? And the reason why I bring this
Mm-hmm.
up is because I'm one of those people who critically thinks. So before I post anything, or when I see a post, when I see something that's getting spread, if it sounds like it's interesting news that might be going global, I do my 5 critically thinking skills that one of my teachers taught me in school, and this is something that stuck with me. Who, what, where, why, and when. Right. This is what I ask myself before I post something, or when I'm seeing a post. I'm constantly critically thinking because it leads me to draw my own conclusion in my head and then follow it up with facts once I fact check something if I see multiple sources on it, right? People don't do this as often. This is a rare skill set to
Trey,
have. So I feel like that. Yeah.
can you let your people on your Wi-Fi let them know to hop off the Wi-Fi? It keeps cutting out in and out. I don't know if it's gonna do that on
Nah,
my end too.
I should be good because I remember it did that last time, but I already told them to hop off the Wi-Fi, so they should be off. This shit's just
All
shitty,
right,
bro.
bet. Then we should be good. Hopefully, it just yeah.
Yeah, it did that last time. It picked up, but yeah.
All
To
right,
get
bet.
get, get back to my point, as far as the critically thinking, I feel like that's a skill set that is overlooked in a lot of cases because if someone was to be able to critically think, number one, you can think for yourself, so you don't have to be so involved in having getting validation from other people. Because why do I need this validation? I know who I am as a person. I don't need all this validation from these random people I don't know. Who's going to be the person who gives me the validation? Because I 9 chances out of 10, I probably don't even know them. And then how are they going to validate me by commenting under comments? I mean, we all know that social media is fake. It's funny that it's called Meta because in it's like the metaverse, bro. It's kind of like having a 2K My Career created player and like like with all the filters, with all the angles that people, you get what I'm saying, with all the
Mhm.
highlights people posting when they're out of the country and they're posting different things, highlight reels and stuff like that. It's like you're trying to be the best version of you on social media. But my question is, why can't we do that in real life? Right? What do you think that is for? What do you think the reason why that is?
It's because it's easier to level up the video game character than it is to level up your real character in real life. That's why.
Facts.
That's
Facts.
why it's easier to press
Facts.
a few buttons, go through a few dungeons and get the treasure chest. It's easier to take an
Mm-hmm.
angle of yourself, right? Put a filter on it and post it up, and then because you hear ding, 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 you get those likes. It's the same equivalent if you had 10 guys come and talk to you and all give you a rose back in the day. It's the same equivalent.
Right.
It's almost the damn near the same equivalent, right? So that's
So
why I do
let
believe
me.
that it's easier for. Yeah, real
My
quick
bad.
for
I didn't
me
mean to
to
cut you.
finish your point. Yeah, you're good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, because it's easier for them to level up their video game character than in real life. And since these social media platforms understand that, they understand that us as human beings, naturally, we are going to take the path of least resistance, especially, and we all want to feel the sense of pleasure over pain. They're going to use that as a form to make it an easy path to making this person feel like they're doing something, feel like they're actually accomplishing something with their life because they're getting all these likes, right? They're literally competing for our attention. And that's why they're doing certain things to keep us on these platforms. But I gotta ask you, Trey, why do they want us on these platforms so much? Why do they want our time and attention so much?
I mean, it's just like any business, if you ask me, right? Why does Gatorade market so much during football games, right? Why does GNC market so much when you're watching, a regular TV show? Everyone wants you to buy their product and be indulged in the product as much as possible. We have to understand that social media is also a business. So they're not looking at it like it's just a place where people connect, like having a cell phone where I can text or call someone, right? They're looking at it like, okay, this is a business. This business model needs to be set up so well that these people don't even realize that they're giving us all their time. And once they do that, our prices go up, right? Our revenue goes up. And we don't even have to market it that well, right? They market it for us. They promote their businesses on these platforms
Mhm.
for us. So to answer your question, I believe it's all about business, bro. Just like other businesses, they do the same exact thing. But we have to
And
realize
what's the product? And what's the product though?
the product is the platform, and the exchange is their time. Literally, the
Mm.
product is the platform,
You,
the
you
social
you don't think that
platform
we're
that
you
they're
don't
on.
think that we're the product? You don't think our attention is the product that they're trying to get us to give more of our attention? So the more attention that we have, the more attention that we give these platforms, the more opportunity they have to feed us advertisements, and the more likelihood we will spend more money. Because think about it, the more time you spend at the mall, the more likely you're going to spend more money, right?
I was going to say, I think you're getting at something, but I would say the time is equivalent to the money. Like I said, the time is that exchange, right?
Mm-hmm.
Time is money. They say that for a reason. So I am giving, literally giving, like I'm exchanging
Exactly.
money. I'm giving my time while I am on the social media, just like I'm giving my money while in exchange, I get this product, right? You get what I'm saying? The same thing with them. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how they're ran. That's how they construct their business, and we need to realize that it's a business model. And there are some benefits to having a social media presence. We won't say all the bad things, because if you're using it the right way, number one, you can learn at a increasing rate more than any time in history, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
living in a 21st century where
Right.
this is literally the information age, right? YouTube, everything, and it is literally doable. If you want to YouTube how to build a
Mm-hmm.
computer, anything, right? I won't say all the examples. So you can use in social media, YouTube is considered to be one of those social media platforms. You can literally take advantage of all of this. You can take advantage of being able to connect with people across seas all over the world, right? There's so many benefits. You can launch your business and monetize that if you have enough following and enough followers, right? You could actually speak up for something you believe in and stand up and speak for a cause, like I do on my
Mm-hmm.
TikToks. Go follow me. TED
Mm-hmm.
Talks with Trey if y'all don't know. But yeah, you can use your platform for good. It can actually be a positive light. It's not all bad. However, we need to
Mm-hmm.
understand the psychological effect, and we need to be conscious of what we're doing, how we're spending our time, and what we're actually posting. And I do want to ask you something. I know we're about to wrap up here, bro, but I just had to get this question out here. So we know we post our highlights on social media, right? You and I might be guilty of that as well. Like everyone posts their highlights, right? That's just how it's been created to be.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it will be socially accepted, number one, and or will there be a difference in the psychological processing and how people are perceiving social media and how they're trying to portray themselves if people were actually real and transparent with what the fuck is going on? Like, do you think that there would be a
Yeah.
difference?
For sure. If people
Okay.
posted the good days and the bad days, they wouldn't be on social
Hmm.
media as much. People would be more honest and more transparent. We wouldn't have a very high suicidal rate or children in middle school and early college, right? And even young adults being so depressed with their situation because it's a game of comparison. You go on a lot of social media platforms and people are just posting nothing but highlights and the great parts of their life, and your life might either be ordinary or your life might not be going that great, but you see everybody else's life appears to be amazing, so now you getting depressed. You think you're behind. You think you're failing somewhere in life. In reality, you're not realizing that everybody has their own journey, and that same person who's posting that highlight of this amazing trip or this amazing meal, they lost their grandfather the other day, right? They're in debt right now, right? They took that trip on a credit card that they can't afford. You don't really know what's going on in people's lives, but social media paints this mirror. It basically literally puts a blockage between us and reality and us and the real person. You see what I'm saying? Right? There's people
100%.
who are
And
on there. There's people who are on there that seems happy, and in reality, if you watch or listen or do enough research or do enough digging, you see they're not genuinely happy. But social media paints that picture. And honestly, it doesn't matter if you don't have to be ignorant, you don't have to be dumb to fall for this trick. Even smart people fall for this illusion, right?
even successful
And
people,
be affected by it.
highly successful people.
Yeah.
Um, one last thing, bro, and this just actually, I just thought about this. It seems like different social medias are used for different things, right? Like
Yep.
Instagram is more used to glorify the highlights as far as places people go and looking good and having that aesthetic look. Facebook could be the same thing, but on Facebook, I do see. I'm not really on Facebook, but I do see more of people are posting their personal business. I'm talking like airing out everything that's going on. Like they're like it's the diary or something. And I'm
Yeah,
not trying to
I see Facebook more
knock anybody.
tailored towards like not only like you said like a public diary, but also it's very tailored to like cultism, if that mean if what that means, because they have Facebook groups, right? Where people will gravitate towards those groups, right? Facebook has become a platform where you can like you said, Instagram is like to show like the trips, the vacation, the highlight reels, right? The pictures, da da da. I feel like Twitter is to give your like opinion, whether it's biased, unbiased, whether it's true or not. People go on Twitter and they say straight BS nonsense that they don't even believe themselves. They're just putting it on there to put on there. Twitter damn near is like a Finsta, like how Finsta was back in the day. And Facebook is like how you said, that kind of like that personal diary, right? That people, use it for to an extent. So yeah, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that.
So is there what I was getting at as far as the Facebook? Because like I say, I see this, and I don't agree with everyone airing out their dirty laundry and everyone else's dirty laundry. Um, when I mention if people were transparent with their lives, I'm not talking about other people's lives and putting them to shame. I don't think that's a right resolution. If you're trying to vent, write it down in a diary or go to a therapist. It's like, but what? And there's no, I'm not trying to knock anyone who does that. I just don't think that's beneficial for anybody because that just creates drama. And then it creates people who are looking at your post only because it's negative. You only have 100 likes and 57 comments because it's a negative post, right? Negative things get more attention, and that's not the right
Exactly.
attention that we should be wanting to attract, right? So my question is, if we were
Exactly.
transparent on these apps, would it have the same effect? I already asked you that. Would it have the same effect? And do we need to go to those extremes as far as being completely blunt and taking off the filter and just letting everyone have it in terms of us verbalizing them in a bad light, right? I don't. I'm gonna answer my own
Yeah.
question. I don't think we should
Yeah.
do that. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, no, you're right, bro. You're 100% right. If people started just being fully transparent and true, don't get me wrong. Like, I think people would still be on these platforms because at this point, people are just in generally addicted to knowing what's going on in the world. Right? You can be addicted to
Right.
knowledge. You can be addicted to just knowing more information. Right? Just like how, and it's not even about
Mhm.
social media. Somebody could be addicted to the news. Every day they come back from work, they're watching the news for 2 to 3 hours every day after work, and they're becoming a very negative person because what's mostly on the news? Negative stuff for some reason, right?
Mhm.
And I actually talked about this in one of my YouTube videos, right? And no, actually, we talked about this in another video about mindset. That us as human
Right.
beings, we evolve to focus on the negative things for our own protection, to locate where the
Mhm.
predators were, to locate where the poison berries and the poison fungus were, for us to not eat those things. So, and, oh,
That's survival instinct.
and even the feeling of fear, right? When you're in a moment of fear,
Right.
right, your senses are heightened. So fear sometimes can be in a stronger emotion, and anger can be like a stronger emotion than happiness, or bliss, right? So we go on social media and we see all these things that evoke the negativity in us, that evoke the fear, the anger in us. And what happens? We have been conditioned to put our attention and our focus on that because our brain, we still have the same brain that we had millions and thousands of years ago. Do you think the difference
Mhm.
from back then to now is the phones and the platforms that didn't exist back then? You see what I'm saying? Now we
Right.
don't need to worry about bears and predators and stuff like that. We need to worry about bad politics, right? Bad policies. We need to worry about the things that are in our food. All of these things, right? That in reality, you might not see them, you might not feel them like how we did back then, but social media, it
Mhm.
paints all of these negative things. So now you're basically your senses and your natural instincts for protection is being hijacked by a computer, by a cell phone. And that's why you're so
100%.
addicted to it.
I think
Mm-hmm.
it's very dangerous how much stimulation we get from social media. And to wrap this
That
up,
too.
I want to open up the closing with a quick discussion of the trolls out there, bro. Because we forgot to mention the trolls.
Yeah, the fake accounts, the people that don't even really be on there, the people that got
Bro.
one picture as their profile and they're in everybody's comments saying nonsense. Yeah,
Bro.
those bots, the
We ain't forget about
NPCs.
y'all thought we was about to go over the troll? No, we addressing y'all. This is ridiculous, man. I'm starting to get some attention towards my TikTok or whatever, and I'm constantly questioning, like, is this a real person or is this a bot? But that's besides the point, because I don't respond to it either way. Now, if it's a person who says something that really strikes my interest, whether I agree with it or not, then I'll address it. But yeah, y'all trolls, man, 9 out of 10 of y'all wouldn't even say some of the things y'all say in these comments in real life to these people's faces. So it just goes to show you, people are literally another person on social media. They are literally transforming themselves into something that they wouldn't even embody in their real life. And that's lame to me, man. That's like, bro, be yourself. I get it. You have the leeway of doing whatever, like on the game, right? It started on the game. Let's be honest.
I was just about to say that. Yo, people be real bold behind a computer screen with a controller in their hand. They be real bold.
All the gamers about trolling started with gaming. It might have been before then, but all the people who would say "f you" if they were white, they would say the hard R word. Oh, your mother. Oh, this and that. You fucking suck, bro. All the negative things, all the most disrespectful things you can hear. But if you was to step to somebody in person, you would be quiet. You wouldn't say a thing. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, it's been going on before social media. I mean, I wouldn't consider I don't know if gaming would be considered social. It's a social interaction, definitely. But what's your thoughts on it, man? What's your thoughts on the trolls? And then let's close it out, bro.
Honestly, I think what it is that social media has just given us, and well, gaming did it first. They gave us a real glimpse of what human beings will do and are capable of, with the illusion that there's no consequences, right? Because back in the day, if you talk to somebody just how you wanted to, there's the possible chance you get your ass beat, right? Or you get jumped, but you're probably gonna definitely get your ass beat, right? Because you're not just gonna talk to anybody just how you did, right? And this was even before we had like law enforcement, right? People wasn't just talking to anybody how they would. It wasn't back then. You could talk to somebody the wrong way, you wouldn't even get your ass beat. You could probably end up dead, and nobody would come to try and avenge you. There will be no law enforcement to try and press charges. I'm talking about way, way, way back, right? So people had a level of respect for each other that was,
there you go.
Exactly. There was a level of respect that was unsaid, right? Because you knew, hey, if I push this person, you don't know if this person might just grab this knife and just kill you and then just walk away and nothing's gonna happen to him. You see what I'm saying? And that's some humans' true nature. That's why we had to create law enforcement and laws and rules and have, people to enforce them, right? Of course, these people can enforce them better, but that's why we created those things, so people can have consequences for their actions, so they wouldn't just be going out hurting people. Social media gives us a glimpse of what somebody will say, and if not potentially do, if they feel as though there's no real consequences to it. That's why when I get on the game and there's a 14-year-old, it's like, no, I'm joking. Not a 14-year-old, but when there's a grown man, right, talking all this smack on the other side, I literally tell them, like, dude, if you saw me in real life, you would not say all of this. So how about you be quiet and play a game and enjoy your life? Literally.
Yeah.
Because, in real life, you don't have that backbone. You don't. You're doing this because, I can't just come to you as a man and be like, watch your mouth. And it's the same thing with social media. People can put all these comments in these videos because they know somebody might check them in the comments. They might rebuttal back to them, but they're not going to knock on their door and be like, yo, what did you say under TT69's Instagram post? What? You don't like big women with thick thighs? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So,
you see what I'm saying?
For all the people out there listening, I want y'all again to number one, tune in to The Social Dilemma that is on Netflix. And as far as what me and you just laid out to you guys, please understand the talking points that we had. Number one, from the psychological effects that social media has, how it could be beneficial, but also how it could be detrimental. How some of the software designers look at targeting certain things so they can keep us on these apps, right? Being cognizant
Mm-hmm.
of using your critical thinking skills when you're on social media and how you're portraying yourself, right? You can either be on the spectrum of someone who is sharing and shedding light, how we are with this platform, or you could be what we just talked about as far as being a clown, a lame, and being in that troll category. It's a huge spectrum, whether you fall in the middle, to the left, or to the right. We're just trying to encourage people to, number one, be their authentic self and also understand they're trying to get your guys' attention like never before, right? This is another business ploy that they're doing, and us as Americans, we're so consumed with so much things. We're consumers, right? We need to learn how to try to start being producers and being on the opposite spectrum of that side. So, with
Yeah.
all that being said,
Yeah.
definitely,
For
definitely,
one more
definitely.
point before we end up here. One more point
Mhm.
here, just to double back on what you say. Yes, they're competing more than ever for your attention because your attention
Mhm.
ties in with your time, and your time ties in with your money. What you put your attention
Facts.
at, and where focus goes, energy flows, right? And if you're putting your energy in it, right, think about it. The more time you spend at a theme park, the more likely you're going to get on a ride. So the more time you spend seeing advertisements, the more likely than not you're going to buy something, right? So the more they can get you to spend your time on these platforms, the more likelihood that you're going to purchase something and they're going to make a profit because social media is a middleman between us, the consumers, and advertisers that are advertising on their platform. That's why they create certain algorithms. They put certain images, certain colors there to get you to stay on there, right? And they do things that, if you could even think about it like this, we had a situation in 2017, right, in Virginia, where a lot of protesters were protesting and things of that nature, and somebody came and with their car drove into all of these protesters and injured a lot of them. The same person,
Jeez.
after they arrest him and they looked at his social media feed, all you can see is violent crimes that he was following. All you can see is things about terrorist attacks, and basically you can see why he did what he did based off of his feed. You don't think
Hmm.
that his feed might have motivated him or pushed him to feel more confident to going out and actually doing the act, right? People say, oh, humans, we're not impressionable creatures, which is false, because even a baby, you can see a baby, right? If the baby is exposed by something enough, the baby's going to start copying and implementing and replicating that same thing that they seen, right? Because we start identifying with it. So we say all of
And
this
not
to
only that,
say that,
I,
yeah. So
I
we
want to
say
add
all
to
of
that
this.
real quick. Let me
Yeah,
add real
bro.
quick, bro.
It's
Because
a
you
lot.
dropped the gym. You dropped the gym. I gotta drop another gym on that. And also when you're seeing something enough times, if you're not questioning it, you start to believe it. Like, how many compulsive
Exactly.
liars and how many habitual liars do we know? They start lying so much that they start believing their lies, right? Same with your social media feed. It could be full of disinformation and lies, but the fact that you're seeing it on a daily basis, multiple times a day, you start to believe it, right? That's all I
Hmm.
wanted to add, though, my brother. Let's close this thing out, man. By the way,
Yeah.
hey, man, this is a fire episode. There's a part two coming to this. Y'all
Yeah.
definitely want to check it out.
We're gonna have a part two where it's gonna be an open discussion because we want y'all to understand that, hey, we might have these opinions and thoughts, right, based off of the documentary we see, but who knows what other people thought, right, or what other people how other people feel or what their thoughts are on it. I know personally a lot of people who say, yo, social media makes them feel depressed. um I have yet, Trey, to meet anybody that says by them taking a break from social media it made their life worse. Literally, I have
Mm-hmm.
yet to meet somebody that says that by them taking a break from Instagram, from Facebook, from Twitter, from whether being off of their phone or not, that they've been depressed. And just for me to drop this one last nugget that was also in the social dilemma, they see us as basically human lab rats. And what I mean by this is that when a mouse or a hamster is in their cage, if you were to put a timer or a bell, and every single time that bell rings, food is dispensed into their cage, now what happens is that they make a connection with the bell and a reward system. Once they hear the bell, they know they're going to get food. Once they hear the bell, they know they're going to get food. What this is called is intermittent positive reinforcement, meaning when you hear the bell, right, you know that you're going to receive a reward. It's the same thing with the notifications on our phone. Why do some people can't put their phone down? Why do some people just check their phone without even hearing it or anything like that? It's because you got so conditioned and so used to hearing when that notification come off, you know, hey, somebody liked your post. Hey, you just received an email. Hey, attention, validation, right? Somebody text you. Us as human beings, we crave validation. We crave human acceptance. And they take that need and that animalistic instinct that we have naturally and they hijack it and create a system where we're basically like lab rats. And every time you hear that ding, you pick up the phone. That's why I consciously I'm telling you, I consciously, when I hear my phone notification, I consciously don't check it immediately. Even if I can, I literally don't. I don't just check it right immediately. I'm a bad texter for that. If you see me reply in 15 minutes, just know I'm not letting the algorithm me. You know what I'm saying? But literally, so I want us to leave with that nugget. Try your best to just be more self-aware of these things. Watch the social dilemma, because the moment that is awareness first starts by seeing the trick, right? Like, you know, being aware of yourself first is, hold on, I'm getting jumbled up in my words. Right. Change first starts with awareness. There we go. That's what I was trying to say. Right. So start trying to be more self-aware of not only how social media is affecting you, how you feel once you're on these platforms, right? Your phone interacting with yourself. And I bet you money, the moment you start being more aware, you start realizing, you start analyzing your thoughts, you start analyzing the posts you see. You're like, wait, I don't even really like this kind of post. I don't really even agree with this.
Right.
And before you know it, you start realizing who you really are and what you really like.
100%. Right? So we all been there before. We're not knocking anybody, but definitely a fire episode. We talked about a lot here. Like we said, we have a part 2 coming for you guys. We really want you guys to tune in if you like this one. Leave some questions, leave some statements and comments, and let us know what you guys think about this topic, about social media, the benefit of social media, and the potential detriment that it has on us as human beings. And like we always say, keep these conversations going. Let your family members know some of the things that we're talking about or some of the things that you guys found interesting on some of our talking points. And strike an interest and strike up a conversation with, you know, some of your groups of friends. And let's continue to grow this platform as much as possible. We want you guys to like, share, and subscribe. And check out some of the links in the description that we're going to have below there for you guys. But other than that, man, that's all I got, bro. It's a fire episode. What you got, Hugh? Anything?
Sure. That's pretty much it, man. And with that being said, until the next episode, all right, all the beautiful people out there, stay blessed, stay beautiful, and stay powerful. We out.
Yes, sir. Peace, power, and love to the people. Peace.